on a beat.
About today's show. Why? Because this is a long anticipated show. My guest today is a heavyweight in the relationship game. Yes, he has an impressive resume when it comes to dealing with relationships, and we've been talking about getting him on the show since before the show started. Okay, so I want you all to welcome to the show my guest. His name is Corey Guyton. Dr. Corey Guyton, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
me. No, thank you for joining us. I'm just honored to have you on the show. I mean, like I said, you are a heavyweight in the game. For those of you who do not know, Dr. Corey Guyton has a number of things going on in the aspect of relationships. As I mentioned, he has a YouTube channel. He's done websites on relationships. He has Instagram, Facebook, books on relationship. Listen, this man is not playing. He's for real about this topic. And not only that, he studied this topic. And he's also done speaking engagements, motivational speaking, seminars, you name it. He's probably done it. He's hit on it in every way, shape, or form that I could possibly think of. And even now, he's to the point where he's doing a radio show, okay? So, like I said, he's nobody to play with. He's a heavyweight in this game of relationships. And today, we're going to talk about Why Settle, which is one of his platforms that he's had in the past as far as why do people settle? I know people settle when it comes to jobs that they really don't care for. They settle for wages that really doesn't meet up to their standards. We have people settling when it comes to vehicles that they really don't want. But more importantly, we have people settling in the area of relationships. Dr. Guyton, why is that? Why do people settle in relationships where they have so much more influence and control in that area of all areas that I've named? They settle for relationships. What's the reason for that?
Well, people settle for a number of reasons. There's tons of reasons why people settle. And I'll tell you a few of the reasons. I could honestly talk about this topic all day and give you probably 1,000 reasons. But
I believe it.
Right. Some of the most common reasons that people settle, I think one is our desire to be loved. Naturally, as humans, we want to be loved. Mm-hmm. And so when we feel like we can't find that right person, then we need to settle for the next best thing because we need to be loved. And, you know, single this day and age is almost seen as being taboo.
Right.
You're single. When you're going to get married? When you're going to find that next person?
Right.
Or when you're going to find your special person? And so people feel pressured to, be in a relationship. And so when you don't have that, people actually link their, they basically link their singleness to their self-esteem.
Wow.
And so if I don't have somebody, then something is wrong with me.
Well,
so a lot
I think it's interesting that you say that because I believe that relationships carry a great impact on self-esteem. Relationships have a very great impact on our self-esteem because it can either make us or break us. And Not only that, I think sometimes impatience factor into it. What do you think? I mean, do you think that has anything to do with people settling?
I think patience coupled with
Dr. Guyton
is what. Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, there you are. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think that patience coupled with self-esteem is that nasty formula that leads people down the road of settling. Mm-hmm. And because when you look at yourself and you are excited about who you are, when you know that you are valuable, and that word valuable is very important, when you know you are valuable, you are less likely to settle. And you won't feel pressured. You won't feel like you have to be in a relationship. But when you don't look at yourself in a positive way and you feel like you need to be in a relationship, that's where that impatience come in.
Wow.
Because then you're quick to settle.
Wow.
Because I need to, because what it is when you look at settling, it's almost like, let's say it's almost like an illness.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need that medication to take care of that illness. And so that medication is finding somebody just to fulfill that feeling of loneliness, that feeling of low self-esteem. That's the person who's going to give you value, and they're going to medicate that illness that you have, even if it's not the person that you really want to be with.
Wow.
And so, so people to settle based off of that, and being patient and based off of the way they view themselves.
Now, do you think it got...
So here,
I'm sorry. I wanted to know, also, do you think it goes back to their roots at all? I mean, do you think it has anything to do with their upbringing?
I do. I think sometimes your environment dictates your relationship sometimes. And so if you don't know better, you won't do better. And so some people come from environments where, I've seen my mother or my father in these type of relationships, and that's all I know. And so since that's all I know, that's what I'm comfortable in. Because you saw it, and that created a comfortable feeling. Because also the other thing is, if I grew up in an environment where there's no trust, right? If there's no trust in this environment, whenever I find a person I feel like I can trust, I still think something is wrong with them. And so I'd rather be with this person who I don't trust, because that's what at least I don't have to act like I trust them, and I can just function as if I don't trust them.
So it sounds like
somebody who's too...
It's a cycle of dysfunction is what it sounds like, though.
Absolutely. And that's just a normal, I think when you start studying psychology, when you start just looking at patterns, it does go back to cycles. I think a lot of things are based off of cycles. And the only way you can change cycles is somebody has to be courageous enough. Somebody has to step out and expose themselves to something different. They have to be willing to be that martyr, to be willing to be someone who will go out and realize it's better. You have to put yourself in those environments where you see healthy relationships. Like I said, if you don't see it, you believe that it even exists, so you end up in an unhealthy situation.
Dr. Guyton, I'm sorry, you're breaking up just a tad bit. Can you repeat that last statement again? If you don't what?
I forgot what I said. If you don't put yourself in those situations, or in an environment where you see something better, then it's less likely that you're going to end up doing something that's better. And so it's important to reach out and see those individuals who are in healthy relationships, so that you can realize that there is a such thing as being in a healthy relationship.
Wow. So it's more so it seems like birds of a feather flock together. So if you want better, you got to go with the better. You got to hang with the better. Is that right?
Absolutely. If you want to be Michael Jordan, you need to go play with Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Or you need to play with somebody that's on that level. If you want to be in the NBA, you have to start playing with NBA caliber players, because if you continue to play street ball, all you're going to do is be a street ball player. And so you have to get outside of your environment, and sometimes that's difficult for people, especially in certain, because we start thinking about socioeconomic status, and so some people can't travel outside of their community. And that community are full of broken relationships. And
ain't that the truth?
Only thing you can see. Yeah, and so it's difficult. And so, and I think that's why it's important to get kids outside, like whenever they can go on field trips, whenever they can go be part of mentoring programs, because they need to see something different. Because if not, it's going back to that cycle we were talking about. Then it's going to be a cycle because they don't see anything that's different.
Now, what's your take? What's your take on, we see black dudes with white girls and vice versa. And it's like society a lot of times will look at them and they say, oh, you couldn't give it somebody black, or she couldn't give it nobody white, like as if it's a problem. Would you say that has anything to do with settling at all?
Well, I'll say this. For different people, I think there's different reasons why they get with people of the opposite race. I think there's a group of people who naturally you fall in love with somebody, or you fall for somebody, and it doesn't matter what, color, what race they come from, their culture. It's just, I met this person, they're an interesting person, I love this person.
Wow.
But then again, there's another group of people who, and it's a term that's called, self-hate and or the way they view the race itself in terms of like black women. Let's say a black man with a white woman.
Oh, yes.
He would not date black women because he feels that black women are inferior to white women. And so he wants to be with a white woman and I guess this does go back to self-esteem, because he wants to up his status in society.
Wow.
So I know being with a white woman, what quote unquote up my status in society.
Wow, that's crazy.
I do think that goes back. And so I do think a part of that, and I won't say it's settling per se, I think that just links to self-esteem and how they view themselves. And I won't say it's settling necessarily, because they could end up with a good woman who just happens to be from another race. But I do think there's some internal things that that individual is dealing with for themselves. And that is a select few people who take that approach. But some people, they just fall in love with somebody.
Well,
and,
I know.
That's just a natural.
I know we see a lot of times with celebrities, people dating individuals of another race. And for example, we have Kimora Lee Simmons. She's a bad mamma jamma if you ask me, but, people would sit there and hate on her just because she's not quote unquote black. And you have a number of these NBA players or NFL players that's dating white women, black guys dating white women, and then we have the black girls who have a major problem with that. Well, for one, I think if we as women would stop being so catty, it wouldn't be an issue, for one. Then two, black girls, us sisters, we have it bad when it comes to nagging and doing the neck rolling and all of this and that. And I told you, we have it bad. And it's it's almost rooted deeply within us, to the point where, we got to do all the neck rolling and the snapping the fingers and letting them know who was boss. Ladies, time out for all of that. We got to do better. So I'm sorry, I just went on a whole little tangent.
I have a response for that. I have a response.
Go ahead.
And okay, so let's go to the black women.
Okay.
Now, there are sisters. Our sisters who are just so negative at times. You said the nagging, you said all of those things. I agree 100%. There are sisters who are like that. But then again, the other thing I challenge people whenever we start discussing black women is, some of the things that black women have to go through just to survive in life. And so we have to look at, I have this whole psychology mindset, and I'm always thinking, what is the root of the reason why people do some of the things they do? And so when you constantly see men who are of status, men who make a lot of, make a lot of money, have a nice position, maybe they play it sports, maybe they're the CEO of a company, doing something great. It's almost like, a lot of black women feel that, okay, you abandon us whenever, you go on and make it. But we here fighting for black men. Because one thing I will say is that black women fight for black men. They fight for black men whenever we're in situations. They're there to fight for us. And then most of the time when they get successful, they continue to be with the black man. And so they feel like when black men, you can be with me while you're in high school. You can even be with me while you're in college. But when you go on and get a job, then you don't want to be with a black woman. And so now, granted, everybody's in Hollywood. Whenever they marry somebody outside the race, sometimes it's because they love that other person. That's not. But then sometimes it's because in Hollywood, I need to move up the ranks, and I need a person of a different race because, quote unquote, and this is not my view, but this is how society treats it. Black women are technically on the bottom of the totem pole. It's white men, it's white black men, then black women.
Well, no, that's statistically proven. We are the lowest when it comes to a level of minorities. We are at the very bottom. So that's statistics.
So, right. And then the other thing is that a lot of black men have learned this whole term of exotic women. This whole notion of I want something that's different. It's Kim Kardashian style women. And so it's almost saying that these women are better than. And I think that's where a lot of black women get offended. Because it's almost like saying, I want these women, I want everything that's other than a black woman. That's what exotic means, different, right?
Right.
And so, so that means that I want something that's different than, a black woman. And so I think a lot of black women take that on and say, I feel disrespected. But then let's go to this whole nagging thing and, let's address that,
while we're there.
I think it's so important because then think about relationships that a lot of women end up in where they're done wrong. And a lot of women have these walls up. They have these walls up because they've been hurt so much. And so now the only way I know to respond to you is with aggression. because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. So I better go ahead
Yes.
and make it. Because some of them self-sabotage relationships because they're afraid to open up.
Well, you know, I could honestly relate to that because, like, when I met my husband, I had a wall up so tough from being hurt so many times in the past. And I almost got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I want to date another black dude for this reason.
Right.
And so I started checking out other nationalities. I mean, I went African, Cuban. Like, I tried to go around the globe, but it just didn't seem right. It was still off for me, so that didn't work. Even I entertained the idea of trying to talk to this white guy that was interested in me, and that was so uncomfortable. I said, I can't get with it, because we was watching BET, Comic View. And you can imagine from there, that was enough right there. And so I was just like, I realized that I could not just date anybody, any race, like, because it was so out the norm for me, like, and I'm accustomed to black guys, and this is what I've always been exposed to. I've never been opposed to dating outside my race. Like, so if anybody does that, that's good for you. I encourage it if that's what you like. But for me, it was like, man, these black brothers, I kind of almost lost respect for them because they hurt me so many times. And I really haven't seen what a positive black man looks like until I got with my husband. And as you said earlier, it's like once you get the good one, it's kind of hard to accept because you're so used to the wrong. And now you're wondering if this is if it's too good to be true. And so, yes, I definitely can relate to that. But I want to take it to the next point. When we see people out in public, and this happens a lot, I would see a nice looking guy. What is up with that? What's the whole reason behind that? I mean, does that necessarily mean he's settled, or is it more so emotional, or is it somebody he might be playing games with? What is it?
I think one thing because I can't always say what it is, but I'll say this. Sometimes we link a person settling to the physical image of another person. And strong relationships are not built off of a physical image. Mm-hmm. It's built off, you don't know, what their spiritual connection is like. You don't know what their, emotional connection is like. Mm-hmm. And so people fall in love for different things. And people have just different levels of attraction. Wow. Sometimes, like, there are some guys, let's say some guys who are very attractive, who are smaller, who absolutely love larger women. So people would naturally say he's settled because he's with a larger woman.
That is true.
And to him, he's attracted to that, know? And so people have different things that they are attracted to. And I think we put people in boxes. And I think that's why we don't have a lot of healthy relationships. Because the truth is, we settle whenever we get with someone for those trivial reasons. Or, a person's look. To me, that's settling. Because now I can be with a person who has no ambition, somebody who will be a horrible mother just because she's fine.
Wow.
And that's settling to me.
Wow.
When I walk out, everybody's saying, oh, my God, he has a bad. Yeah, I have a bad one, but she doesn't do anything that's mother. She goes out and party every weekend. She doesn't contribute to the house. But everybody says he has a bad one. And so I think we have this skewed mentality of what it means when a person is settling. I think a person is settling whenever they are not what they need to receive emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I feel like those are the elements that's going to keep the relationship around, because here's something you have to think about. You always have to think about, even if a person looks good, any day something can happen to them.
Absolutely.
Any day something can happen to them to alter their appearance. And so the question is, with the relationship sustain over time if that was to happen? Or you're going to grow older. You're going to grow older and you're going to look different.
Right.
That's going to happen.
And you just brought me...
Everything may not...
You just brought up a good point. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you good.
Okay, because you're breaking up just a little bit. But you brought me to a very good point. You brought up a very good point with that, because I know for me personally, before I met my husband, I had in my mind what my ideal husband will look like. Well, when I actually met my husband, it was totally different than the look that I was going for. I mean, he had everything else that I was looking for in the package, but the gift wrap, it was not the gift wrap that I wanted. And so it was like, okay, what's up with this? I'm falling head over heels for this guy, but he's really not the gift wrap that I was looking for. And I'm so grateful that I did not get what I really wanted in terms of the gift wrap, because had I did that, I probably would have dealt with so many insecurities, because that's the type of dude I've always dealt with in the past. If I would have stuck with what I've always I would have got what I've always got. And so it's like, when I realized that, I'm just like, man, I'm grateful that I did not go the way that I really wanted to go, because at the end of the day, it would have left me with insecurities. But not only that, how about my husband? The craziest part about this story is the fact that my husband looks like my crush from my teen heartthrob group. Everybody says he looks like Omarion, right? and so it's like, man, now I know I got the best of both worlds, because I got a nice looking husband and he got the total package deal, like his heart and everything. And like you said, it's not so much what's on the outside, because beauty fades, looks can fade, all that, that could pass away. But at the end of the day, can you connect with this individual emotionally? Do they meet up to your standards? Do they make you happy? That's what's really important at the end of the day. But what would you say are some ways for people to recognize if they are settling or not?
I think, are you being fulfilled? And I think that's an important question that you have to ask yourself. Are you being fulfilled? When I go to this person every day, if I go home, if you live together, if I go home to this person, am I excited to see this person? Now, granted, every day is not going to be a great day. But when we're talking about fulfilled, we're just talking about a natural feeling of this is right for me. And a lot of people know that it's not right. And that's the thing, is people know that it's not right, but they just can't leave the situation for whatever reason. And that's when you know you are settling. And I say another way to know that you're settling. When you're constantly looking, even though you're with somebody.
Wow.
And now, I'm not talking about from the standpoint of you're trying to go out here and cheat. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, when you're constantly looking, keeping yourself mentally and your heart open a little bit, just in case there's somebody who comes along who's better.
Wow.
Then that means that this person is not everything for you. This is not the person that 100% has, have you. Because think about your husband. Or I think about my wife. There's no room for me to open up to anybody else. There's no room for me to continue to look. There's no room. I feel fulfilled in my relationship. I'm happy in my relationship. And so I don't have to open that door for anybody else, or leave it cracked just in case somebody want to pull it open.
Right.
And so that's how you can kind of tell if you are settling. And it's not based off of other people, though, because some people will tell you, oh, why are you with that person or this and that? See, they don't understand they don't understand the connection. They don't understand the physical.
That's true.
Because you asked me that question earlier about, a person who looks good with a person who's not as, attractive.
Right.
And so, other people will talk you out of your own relationship that's a good fit.
Ooh, ain't that it?
But sometimes you also have to take into consideration, let's say if it's a good friend, and they can kind of notice the differences in you and notice that you are not who you used to be and your identity is changing some, then you may want to listen to that person.
Wow.
Because they know who you are. They've been around you, and they can see you changing for the worse. If a person says, I see you changing for the worse, okay, that's one thing. But if a person like, why are you with this person because they don't look a certain way, then that's not the person you want to listen to.
Wow.
But you do want to listen to the person who can see those subtle changes, because they can start seeing that you're insecure within your relationship. They can see that you're... go ahead.
You saying some stuff. I'm listening.
So yeah, they can see those little subtle changes, and those are the people you need to listen, because they're concerned about who you are internally.
Wow.
Because the important thing is internally. If you're changing internally for the work, then those are the people you really, really need to listen to.
Well, I also wanted to know, would it be necessary for an individual to have a set of standards before they get into a relationship, or should they just, try to water and go with the flow and see what happens?
Okay, so you said, should they have standards
before entering into a relationship? Go ahead.
Absolutely. That's not optional at all.
Okay.
You have to have before you enter a relationship. you know what you're looking for. And so a lot of people, because I do a lot of relationship coaching also, and I ask people, before you go into a relationship, what are you looking for in a person? And so people will say all of these things, I'm looking for a person who's attractive, a person who has ambition, a trustworthy person. And, those things are good. But then again, go deeper. Where do you want this person to be in 5 years?
Right.
Or, does this person want kids? Because if you want kids and they don't want kids,
that's a problem.
From a foundational element, that's going to be a problem. Yes, it may be cool right now because you're not at the point where kids need to be introduced into your relationship.
Right.
But then when that comes, then that's going to create problems. But what happens is that people go ahead and continue with this person, and then they gain feelings for this person, they fall in love with this person, and they have to readdress that whole notion of kids. And now you're unhappy in your relationship.
Ooh, and I know some people in that position right now. So, yes, that's very true. That is very true. But go ahead.
And so, and what I was saying, I kind of lost the question. What was the original question?
If people need to have standards before entering the relationship, or should they just go with the flow and see what happens?
Go with the flow is almost like driving your car, filling it up with gas, and driving your car, but not having a destination. And so you're just going to end up somewhere.
Wow.
If you are intentional about what you want and you have a destination, if you know that destination, you're going to take the path that's going to get you there without the least amount of problems.
Wow, that's good stuff.
It's important to have a destination of knowing what you want. You need to have those expectations. And so you did see him doing this new podcast radio show, right?
Right.
So I have a partner, and one of the things we were talking about, and this is relevant to this discussion, is that she said that I tell people to go beyond expectations, and I tell people to go to conditions. Because, see, here's the difference between expectations and conditions. Expectations are things that I expect you to do, but if you don't do them, I'll address it then. Conditions are more so of this is what it's going to be or it's not going to be. These are the terms and conditions. When you think about, a contract, they don't have expectations on contracts. They have conditions. And if you break those conditions, then they're going to terminate your contract.
That's
true. So it's important. I tell people to have conditions because we settle sometimes because we have expectations. They don't meet our expectations, but we overlook those sometimes. But if we have conditions, then whenever we set our conditions, if the person don't meet our conditions or they don't, if they don't meet those conditions, then we're going to cut you loose. Well, and that's what I push people to go for it.
I know that to be true because I know prior to meeting my husband, I had a list of things that I desired in my husband. And when I realized he measured up to everything as other than the gift wrap, quote unquote. But when I realized he measured up to everything else on my list, I was like, okay, this must be it. I mean, and this is early on in our relationship. I started feeling like, okay, this must be the one because I've already knew what I wanted. And so it helped me to recognize when he was present. Right. Because for the simple fact, I already had my outline. I already did my rough draft of what I'm looking for. And if he ain't fit this description, then he couldn't be with me, point blank. But not only that, I see people all the time who will settle with somebody that, say for instance, you got a girl who don't smoke, don't drink, and she's trying to wait to marriage. Well, she'll fall for that guy that does the very opposite. And so then next thing you know, she look up and she's pregnant. And that definitely was not in her game plan of things that she wanted to do. But at the end of the day, she fell head over heels for a guy that she really wasn't meant to be with in the first place because he wasn't on her level. And I just find that real interesting that I see that type of scenario happen a lot of times. I see females fall into the trap. And I don't know if it's so much as guys as it is as women. But would you say that women are more likely to settle than men, or is it pretty much the same?
The only thing I can say from my experience, I realized that females tend to settle more than men. And the reason I've seen it happen is because a lot of women feel like there are no longer many good men out there in this world. They feel like that, all the good men are taken, that all the good men are married, and so I need to get the next best thing.
Wow.
And sometimes that's a person who is way below what I wanted. Because and some people's mentality is either I'm get something or I'm going to have nothing. And so I'd rather just settle for having something.
Wow.
And so they end up with that something. But here's the problem. is when you settle for something, something can end up putting you in a worse place, and you can end up missing that person who was for you because you're not where you need to be because you settled for somebody else.
Wow.
That's crazy. And that person has damaged you and wounded you and hurt you. I mean, I know earlier when you said that, you have been hurt so much in, previous relationships that you dang near missed your husband.
Right.
And that happens all the time. We end up settling. Let's do it this way. Let me just give you a scenario to make it make sense.
Okay. We only got like a minute left.
Okay. So you have a car, and your car has a flat tire. You put the spare tire on that car, and you keep the spare as if it's going to be with you forever. And you keep driving that car, That spare blows out when you should have bought another tire. That spare blows out. You do more damage to your car. Now you got to put so much more money into getting the car back up to the car. You can be able to put it back on the road. So does that make sense?
You just said a lot within just that little illustration. Yes. Okay. But so thank you.
Make it quick.
Thank you so much, Dr. Guyton. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. And
no problem, man.
Like I said, appreciate you coming on the show today. And
no problem, man.
Like I said, y'all, he's a heavyweight in the game. And so in case anybody want to reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
I'm on Instagram all the time. It's at Mr. Right vs. Wrong. Also, I'm on Facebook, Corey Guyton. Our podcast is lovetapmedia.com. And so between those three things, you can find me.
Okay, and your Instagram is Mr. Right VS versus, right? VS, or is it wrote out?
Mr. Right VS WRONG. So yes, VS.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the show. It has been a pleasure having you on the show. And, maybe we'll be able to get you back on the show one day again. So it has been wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we have to do it.
All right. Well, thank you again. And as you all know, this has been another great edition of The Love Factor. We catch you right here, same time, same place next week. Be blessed.